والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. The challenges of education today, that's what I'm going to address in my talk. But to put it in a broader perspective, let me share with you the fact that we're familiar with the Ice Age, which lasted unfathomable amount of time. But then at some point we came to the agriculture age. And I think that's lasted about 4,000 years, almost. And then we came to the Industrial Revolution in the 1600s. And basically that lasted 400 years. You realize the pattern? Probably 40 million years to, or whatever amount of time the Ice Age took, and then 4,000 years of agriculture age, and then 400 years of the Industrial Revolution. And then the computers what computers brought about, it lasted about 40 years. From the 1980s, early, if you go back to when Apple launched its little box, that was in 1980. 2020, 40 years later, that was over. We started with the information age. We started with basically artificial intelligence, etc. Informational age, and then 40 years later, today we're in 2025, about 40 years later, we're into artificial intelligence. Think about it. Let's say 40,000 years, to 4,000 years, to 400 years, to 40 years. It's exponential. The expansion of human innovation and the expansion of ability to do things, knowledge within the human race is going exponential. And many of you will agree with me that we just started the artificial intelligence basically age. I don't know if it's going to last from 40 years to 4 months, because we already are seeing, and those of you who follow, you see already that there's a very intense no holds barred competition between the different giants of information to come up with the best AI engines so they can dominate, and that will take us into the next level. Education is an environment that needs stability. And when you have the changes coming at you, just some schools, they just got used to having computers in their classrooms. All of a sudden, that in itself now is obsolete and outdated. So to me, the challenge of education, and for us Muslims in particular, the challenge is for us to get ahead of the cusp and stop playing catch up. And for us to realize that when we talk in education, that the most important, is the understanding, not the regurgitation of information and just soaking in information, rather the understanding. It goes a step further, which is problem solving, to be able to not only understand the information that's coming at you, and then be able to use it to actually real, world problems, to be able to solve it through that education. And if there was a time where we say to our educators and even to our parents and everybody who is involved in education, that it's important that we stop having curricula and having schools that are focused basically on the kids learning information and filling them with information. And we have to move into where they learn and they get understanding, and then they learn problem solving. Today it's not just an option, it's not a warning, it's the only way going forward. The only way we can survive, our children can survive, they can thrive, is for them to hone and learn and then hone that skill of problem solving, of being able to use all the information that are now literally at their fingertips, use it to be able to solve problems. That, from a practical point of view, that is to me the most challenging. And we see attempts at basically catching up, and some people are doing a better job than others, but it is imperative for us to realize that there is no other way anymore. With the advent of information and the information age, and then the artificial intelligence age, there's absolutely no other way for us as a community to survive, for our children to be able to have good jobs and be able to also succeed in this global world. It's no longer the United States of America. It's no longer, I mean, it's been a while, for a while now that the world is getting closer and closer, and this global village concept is again, was something that everybody is becoming more aware of, and that we are really one small village. Today it's even more so. And in that global village, for us to survive and for our children to survive and our youth to survive, we must recognize that and be able to move into an environment where our kids come in to basically learn how to do life, not just how to get information and store it somewhere without ever seeing even a connection between it and real life issues. Now, having said that, this is only one aspect, and in my mind it's a logistical, practical aspect. The other one is the fact that our students, our kids, our schools have to prepare our students to live a moral life. You know, with the advent of artificial intelligence and social media, and where the world is going in general, even when it's, there was a time where United Nations meant something, where the concept of international community meant something. The concept of international human law meant something. The issue of civil rights meant something. The right to live, the right to face your abuse. All of those things are literally going by the sideways, because you have powers that basically are harnessing their ability to get information and control even the thought process of people is becoming at a level that is scary, very scary. In the meantime, it allows them to get away with murder, literally, as we see the genocide unfolding in Gaza, and as we see the now naked aggression and control and colonization of several, countries around the world. But when we see all of that, we realize that we have to be able to produce a generation that stands up for justice, no matter what it costs. Even though all the world is saying, if you go that path, it's going to be difficult. But if you forget about that, if you hide that you are a Muslim, and you basically, you are a Mo or Joe or whatever, then we will open the door for you, and you will enjoy the fruits of this life, and you will be able to have your fancy house and your whatever. And it's very tempting. It's extremely tempting, especially for students that don't, haven't had the grounding. So we must, honestly, today I view the Muslim community worldwide as the only group that are basically on the right path when it comes to holding to morality, to moral, standing in the world. And without us being able to raise our children, understanding that with the road they are going to take, it's more rewarding, it's more fulfilling. Definitely, with the 10 points that my dear brother Habib mentioned, definitely would be worthwhile, but it's going to be the difficult route. But they will take it anyway, because to them, that's what matters. That's what they're going to face Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with, not the things they accumulated because they sold out. It is extremely crucial that becomes a part and parcel of everything we teach our children. And the third one, also just an expansion of what my brother Habib talked about, which is the sense of gratefulness. The sense of gratefulness to their teachers, to their families, to their mom and dad. I'm amazed at the level now of literally young people feeling that, there's no difference between me and my mom and dad. And really this concept of yakfurna al-ashir in Islam, to literally turn your back on everything someone did for you. It's not only for spouses, it's also for children, it's also for organizations, it's also for communities. When somebody gives you their life and their best, and then you become 17, 18, 20, and all of a sudden you feel like, I don't owe you anything. And soon I'm going to get out of here, and you do whatever you're going to do. That is something that will be ingrained in the children when they are little. And if that is not ingrained in them when they are little, then you are, no matter what skills in life you're giving them, it's to not. It is definitely not meaningful. And that takes me to my last point in 1 minute, which is Qudwa. You know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran, لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ إِسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ لِمَنْ كَانَ يَرْجُو اللَّهَ وَالْيَوْمَ الْآخِرَ. There, you know, in the example of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you Muslims have a mentor, have a role model, have something to emulate. That concept, if we don't have it, and if we don't use it within our educational institutions, where the kids, they don't just have the maths and the science and the English teachers and the whatever, and they have role models, and every school has to truly emphasize that concept, that every teacher, every administrator, every person, adult involved in the school need to be able to be a role model to their children. Because as they grow, regardless of anything else, and all the you know, the fancy things and the shiny things that face them in life, they will never forget, and they will truly, you know, we have our fitrah, and they will truly gravitate always towards those who they saw as role models. So our schools would be very missed to not emphasize this point. So again, the world is changing at a very, very scary level, and we have to catch up with it. And the second one, we have to make sure that our kids are moral beings before anything else, and before any skills we can teach them or anything like that. And thirdly, we have to not forget, there's a lot of now, oh, I don't need to be even in school. I don't need my kids to be in school. I'll teach them online. I will this, I'll that. And there are, by the way, a lot of models of trying to do hybrids and all that, but let's set all of that aside. There's nothing that is going to replace the uswa al-hasana, the role modeling that educators do to the children. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide us to be able to get ahead of this very, very fastly changing world, and that to be able to be the witnesses for justice, for good things in life, for all the world to see. Inshallah, and education is the key for that. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.